Live from the PCTV studios, the Monday Morning Quarterback. Your host, Dave Ridenour.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to yet another edition of the Vlahos Dunn Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback Show. I'm Dave Ridenour, the Monday Morning Quarterback, and we think we have another great show planned for you this evening. Coach Mick and I are going to break down all last week's action, particularly the playoffs that have started already here in early November, so we have a lot to look forward to. So sit back and relax and enjoy the Vlahos Dunn Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback Show.
At Vlahos Dunn Insurance, we understand what moves people in business and in life, and we use this knowledge to better serve our clients. And we bring the same work ethic and commitment to our business as our customers do theirs. Vlahos Dunn Insurance, providing quality coverage to the Tri-County area since 1994. So call our knowledgeable staff.
Hi, I'm Jim Vlahos of Vlahos Dunn Insurance, and we're in your community.
At long last,
date night has arrived.
And you want to make it something special.
Something romantic.
You've heard a lot of great things about Panavino
in the new downtown district.
Fine Italian dining
with a cosmopolitan flair.
Drinks before dinner at the bar?
Why not?
Then it's just us.
Savoring the creations of Chef David Brennan.
What's this?
Dinner and a movie for two?
Only $50?
Panavino Italian Restaurant
truly is the beginning of the perfect evening.
In the new downtown Reading.
Back here on set in the studios at the Pottstown High School, the PCTV Network studios. Dave Ridenour again, joined by Coach Mick and Jim. You know, it's getting down to crunch time. We've been excited about the beginning of November, particularly with the quality of play that we've seen in the Pac-10, particularly from the teams that are finished and qualified for the playoffs. So it's an interesting time for us. And normally we start off the show with our top five, and let's do that a while. We'll get that taken care of. Again, that's our buddies Keith Reinhardt there on your left, and Ronnie, our Hall of Famer in the Tri-County Hall of Fame. Again, started by his father, Claude A. Reinhardt, better known as the Deacon Reinhardt. And our top five teams consist of, still undefeated and sitting on top all year long, 11-0, Perk Valley. Spring 4 really peaking at the right time, playing probably their best football at the end of the season at 9-2. Pottsgrove 7-4. Owen J. Roberts with a big non-league win over the weekend. And Upper Perk sits in at the 5 slot. And again, that is brought to you by the Reinhardt Painters.
Well, that 4th and 5th spot has jumped around the last couple of weeks. PJP was in there. Upper Perk was on there at number 4 last week.
Methacton,
had a week or two. Had up in there.
Yeah.
Now you got Owen J. Roberts in there. We haven't seen them yet this year.
Right, and they had a couple of big wins towards the end of the season, but they, again, sort of a roller coaster up and down team. Rich Kolk and his gang could never really find that consistency, but ended up pretty good in a non-league win over the weekend. Well, you know, Jim, the 6A teams started off their playoffs with 16, a bracket of 16 teams that all qualified. Perk Valley, our number 1 team in the area, finished as the number 3 seed. So they had a home game at Keenan Field down in Perk Valley, and they hosted Penwood. So Penwood and PV hooked up at PV. And they came out pretty well, 55-28 PV on top, and another big win for Rob Heist and his gang.
Well, the thing that keeps going through my mind, especially driving in here tonight, thinking about our show, is 7 interceptions. 7 interceptions. How can anybody have 7 interceptions? That could be a record for a team.
It probably was. Yeah.
Plus, Dave, 2 kids had 3
each.
Jaworski, Justin Jaworski
Yep.
had 3. Matt
Ford
Fordbay
Bay.
had 3, and then they had 1 other. That's just hard to believe.
Yeah.
That I have that many. And no wonder they scored 55 points, because we know that they are a machine on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. They can do it all. And, we're both Pac-12 guys. And we're proud of the Pac-12, and we'd love to see them move on, whoever it may be.
Yeah, and that was their first home win in the playoffs since 1998. Grant Wiley and his gang, 18 years it's been since the Vikings enjoyed a home win in the District 1 playoffs. So it was great to see them get off in the right foot. And again, the usual suspects doing their job. You talked about Justin Jaworski with his 3 interceptions. We had him on the show as the player of the week before. After their big win over Pottsgrove in that crossover championship game. Matt Fordbay, who also coaches, starting to get some carries on the offensive side with 3 interceptions. So they really, really played well.
Well, that Fordbay is an interesting name and a well-known name.
You
to
got
us,
that right.
especially from down around Phoenixville.
Yep.
So he's probably an underclassman and is doing his share on both sides of the football. I would like to say something about Penwood, Dave. Penwood, from down in Delaware County, had only 5 wins in 5 seasons. And this year made the playoff in the very difficult District 1 conference, and they come out 7-4. And you know what? They did play well at times, but the 7 turnovers, and scored 28 points. Take away those 7 turnovers, wow, it could have been a lot closer.
And did you see, and I love this, and I hope I get it right, their tailback, their running back's name was Answered Glee Play, which is got to be on the all-name team of the century. Answered Glee Play had 15 carries for 140 yards, so they did have some success on the ground. Unfortunately, trying to play catch-up and trying to keep on the track meet, if you will, with Park Valley, they got forced into throwing situations. And, of course, the results, as Coach said a couple of times now, 7 interceptions. But, you got the usual suspects with Sturm and Williams and Jaworski and Owens and all those guys doing all those great things for Vikes.
Well, Williams is coming around the last couple weeks. He had almost 100 yards against Penwood on 12 attempts. And I think as they get into these playoffs, et cetera, they're going to have to run the ball a little bit more, control the football. And Dave Williams, for the most part, is going to be the guy that they're going to do it with. And Steven Sturm is not a bad runner either.
I know, he scored 2 touchdowns. He had 5. He threw for 5 and ran for 2. So he was responsible for 7 touchdowns. Again, his illustrious career is just rolling and rolling and rolling. But, I looked at the team statistics. Park Valley is averaged at 143 yards on the ground and 250 plus in the air. They are the number 2 team behind Springford as far as total offense. So they've been able to keep it up and score some points, particularly in bunches, Jim.
Right, and talking about that and continuing into the playoffs, they play a good Downingtown East, and they're hosting them on Saturday, or Friday.
Friday night, yeah.
And I've seen Downingtown East on the huddle, and they're a fine football team, and it should be a very, very competitive game. But they are a machine, PV. It's going to take a heck of a team to put them out of the playoffs.
And another stat, the Vikings have had the last 3 years, their record at home, Jim, is 15-2. So they certainly do like their own home cooking there down there at Keenan Field on their own campus. They don't have to travel anywhere. But 15-2 the last 3 years on their home field, and one of those losses came in the playoffs last year. So they certainly do like playing at home, and it should be a good game, which we'll talk about a little bit later on in the show. Now, the next 6A team we want to talk about is Springford. We mentioned them briefly in our top 5, and they are certainly playing their best ball. The last 4 games, they are 4-0 since they lost to PV in that very pivotal game in the Liberty Division play. They have outscored their opponents, Jim, 204-14 in the last 4 games.
Say that again.
204-14.
Boy, that is outstanding.
That is outstanding.
Outstanding.
On both sides of the ball.
And you know what, Dave? They are beginning to concentrate and rely a little bit more on the run game. They started out against CB East with an opening drive of 80 yards, 13 plays, 6 minutes. Selwyn Simpson with a big game, scored from 26 yards out. And here again, we both know, and the coaches certainly know this too, you got to be able to run the ball when we get into this part of the season. You got to be. And they're doing a heck of a job of running the football. But still, you got T.J. Pergine still throwing the ball well. He threw for 2 touchdowns, 216 yards. So they're going on all cylinders also, just like PV.
Well, you know, one of the things that I liked is when I was looking at their team stats, you know, a lot of people, myself included sometimes, you know, think of Springford as a team that really likes to throw, but they got great balance. They're averaging 215 yards on the ground and 205 through the air. They are the #1 total offensive team in our Pioneer Athletic Conference. As you mentioned, Pergine has really matured into a pretty good quarterback here in his first year at the helm. But the guy I liked, and you and I sort of took opposite sides on this, you were more of a Gibson guy, I was more of a Simpson guy, but Selwyn Simpson, since his ankle was 100%, he has come on like gangbusters, Jim.
No question about it. I do not deny that, but I still think that they need Matty Gibson back in there this Friday night, playing the #1 seed in North Penn. And he was nicked up, had a little head injury. Hopefully he's come around and will be able to play. Because that's a good mix when they have 2 solid running backs.
And, you know, and even Justin DeFrancisco late at the end of the season has really jumped into the picture. You know, Simpson and Gibson both have over 700 yards. And now DeFrancisco has 505, averaging 8.1 a game. Now, a lot of times he's in at the end of the game when it's not mop-up duty, but we're in there with a lot of the seconds. But he has really improved as well, and he's gained the trust of Chad Brubaker.
Well, if Gibson isn't able to go come Friday night, DeFrancisco is going to take his place and get a lot of carries. And, you know, Dave, we're talking run game, but they also have a solid, as we know, passing game with Pergine. And they got Stone Scarcelli, who had 4 receptions for 75 yards, and they just got this Quinn McKenna back a week or so ago. Big tight end, 4 receptions, 72 yards. So when you look at Springford as a whole offensive football team, boy, they got it. They got the offensive players. Their offensive line is solid. They can throw the ball, and they can run the ball.
They certainly do, and they certainly have a great package under Chad Brubaker's offensive schemes. Simpson up to 22 touchdowns on the year. He has really come on in the second half. But again, a big win for Springford. And, you know, our thoughts and hearts and prayers and whatever go out to the CB East. They had a couple of guys that were carted off by ambulance, and one real bad leg injury that we hope that young man gets back on the field and playing before long. And you hate to see those injuries
Yeah, we hate to see any injuries in football. And my son told me he was right on the sideline where the kid from East came out of bounds, and he broke both legs in the lower leg, and it was quite a bit of pain and things like that. So I think when something like that happens, it shakes everybody else up,
Absolutely,
too,
that does.
because nobody wants to see that.
Correct, yep. And like I said, right in front of the Springford bench with a bad lower leg injury. Again, we wish that young man nothing but the best. You know, now we go into the 4A division, where we had 3 teams from the Pioneer Athletic Conference. We had #2 seed Pottsgrove, we had #3 seed Upper Perk, and also the #4 seed Pope John Paul in the playoffs. And let's go over to Pottsgrove, where the PCTV network was there. Al Ganoza and myself did that game, so I had firsthand information and knowledge about that one. As Pottsgrove again, they were a little leery of Upper Perk. They beat them handily, 62 to 21 in the first time they played. So they were a little bit afraid of a letdown. Upper Perk had nothing to lose, but Pottsgrove played very, very solid, good football, and Rick Pennypacker type of football game.
Well, I said coming tonight, reverberating through my mind was 7 interceptions. But along with that 7 interceptions by PV, the other number that kept running through my mind, 360 yards.
Yeah.
360 yards
Yeah.
by one guy.
Yeah.
Is that may be a league record?
I don't know if it is or
that
not.
may be a
it
state
was
record.
close.
360 yards.
Yeah, it was close.
4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
On 29 carries. My goodness. Is he a workhorse?
Well, he was Friday night, that's for sure. And he, the highlight was that long 89-yard touchdown run on a 4th down call. As a matter of fact, as he skirted around the left end and threw that little stiff arm into the secondary man, and boom, he was off to the races. But certainly a heck of a game by Rishul Faison, as he was able to cover up some of the inefficiencies that they had elsewhere on the team. But he certainly did play a great, great football game.
They had a total of 439 yards. He had 360
60 of them.
So the rest of the team had around 70, 80 yards. So what a night for this fantastic young football player. And certainly carrying them into the playoff means a lot, because you're going to have to defend that guy.
And one of the things that I liked about Pottsgrove was, A, they made some real good offensive line adjustments at the half, but B, also, they did a good job on Tyler Wary. Tyler Wary is a good football player. I like him. I like that Tudelo kid as a little Justin Tudelo as a backup running back and a fullback. I mean, when I saw them on TV against Pope John Paul, those two guys really, really played well. And I thought, man, they can run the football. And Hallman is a heck of a quarterback. Kendra is a wide out at 6'4", 6'5", a basketball player. And Tyler Kaiser is another offensive guy. Pottsgrove did a heck of a job, particularly stopping the run game, holding them to only 60 yards.
60 yards held them. You got to run the football. Certainly, Hallman threw for 204 yards, a touchdown or two, et cetera, et cetera. But it's a big, big misbalance in the rush statistics and the passing statistics, 60 to 204. But they did play better than the first go-round with the Grove.
And like I said, they had nothing to lose, and they should have played better. I'm still scratching my head how Pottsgrove, could have scored 62 on them the first time with the amount of talent that Upper Perk has. They are a decent football team. They finished around 500, but I think their talent was a little bit better than their record. But again, congratulations to Pottsgrove. They move on now, and we'll talk about that a little bit later as they take on the #1 seed Interboro. And Jim, the last game that we have in the districts, as you see on our scoreboard provided by the Linfield National Golf Club, is the Pope John Paul. They ran into the #1 seed, a tough team, always a physical team. Interboro Buccaneers, they knock off the Johnnies 49-12.
Well, last year their record, the Johnnies' record was 0 and whatever. This year the record ends up in 4-7. So if I'm Rory Graver sitting down there, I'm saying to myself, and so are the people down there and the kids, we're going in the right direction. And they are. 4 wins. They broke a 21-game losing streak. Naturally, they got it handed to them on Friday night. But Interboro is a very, very good football team with an outstanding tailback, just like Pottsgrove. Chris Thomas, 138 yards, 3 touchdowns. Very similar. I'm sure Coach will talk about it when he gets on. Very similar to the Pottsgrove attack. So kudos to Interboro. #1 seed, big win over PJP on Friday night.
They are. All right, well, we're going to take a quick timeout, and we come back. We're going to look at some of the teams whose seasons are over and sort of talk about what they did and what they didn't do and sort of diagnose what was going on for a couple of the teams in our area, and then also preview this week's district ball games right here on the Vlahos Dunn Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback Show.
Fred Beans Ford of Boyertown is located on Route 100, just 2 miles north of Boyertown. Fred Beans Ford provides automotive sales, service, parts, and body shop all in one place. They're open 6 days a week. Fred Beans Ford in Boyertown can be reached at 800-222-0243, 800-222-0243, or online at fredbeans.com.
Doc Watson's is one of the hottest new sports bars around. Located next to Zern's Market in Boyertown, Doc's offers something for everyone. From live entertainment to countless draft beers, from great burgers to the new outside patio, from the numerous TVs to the friendly Doc service. Doc Watson's is the place to be. So stop by Doc's today for a leisurely lunch, a quick cold beer, or a great bite to eat on a nice fall night. Doc Watson's.
Welcome to the office of John H. Greismeyer Jr., where we believe in the value of relationships. We take pride in giving you the assistance you need, where that involves income tax, payroll, or financial statement preparation. Located in Boyertown, we're committed to meeting the needs of the people in our community, and our team of skilled financial professionals look forward to working with you. John H. Greismeyer Jr. Call us or visit our website now.
Back here on the Blatherstone Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback, Dave Reiner, again joined by Jim Mick. And Jim, you know, a couple of the teams really had some good years and good moments this year. Pope John Paul was one of them. You know, we had Rory Graver on, we had Matt DeLaurentis, I had Nicky Yerger on there. Those guys really played well. And it was good to see Rory really starting to turn that program around. The kids are starting to get a little bit more excited. They ended up, as you mentioned, they won 3 games in a row for the first time. They ended up 4-7. They made the playoffs. They knocked off Pottsgrove for the first time in their school history. So they certainly did have some big moments this year. And let's give a little kudos to Roy Graver and his staff and all the kids down there for not throwing in the towel.
Without a doubt. That's it. The words are throwing in the towel, which they didn't do, boy. And when you lose 21 straight games in a row, boy, who feels like going to practice every day, going to the games on Friday and Saturday and know you're going to get your head handed to you? But they hung in there. They hung in there. And you know what? They had a tough 3-game schedule at the beginning of the year, which took them from 18 losses to 21. But they hung around. They won 3 in a row. They finished up with 4 wins with the big win over the Grove. And Rory's got to feel they're over the hump and just keep it going. Make it competitive in the Pioneer Division. And go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and I'm sure their all-season program is going to be a little bit easier to get kids in now. They can see the light at the end of the tunnel. They can see that all this hard work does pay off. And I'm looking forward to them having an even better year next year. But, you know, you look at their team led by Matt DeLaurentis, who really is a nice quarterback, and you were down there for that game, and you liked what you saw out of DeLaurentis.
Oh, and Sereno, who hasn't played since Pottsgrove. Sereno's a nice receiver. They've got a lot of, not a lot, but they got a few skilled kids. But if I'm Rory Graver, like anything else, if I'm going to get consistency in my program, and you know this, and I do too, that their run game is null and void. They don't have a run game. And he's going to have to develop that. And how do you develop that? You got to get some linemen.
Yeah. Well, they just barely averaged 100 yards a game rushing, but they did throw the ball pretty well, 183
he's a
per
talent.
game. And you know, they moved up to 5th. You know, they were at the bottom, so they were in the top half of the total offense in the Pioneer Athletic Conference. And defensively is really where I thought they made some strides, Jim. You know, they did a pretty good job. They scored 19 a game and gave up 24 a game, so they were a little bit in the minus there. But, you know, they ended up 4th overall in total defense.
Well, things, as you said, I think totally are moving forward down there. And we're hoping that to happen to make it more competitive in the smaller school division.
Well, you know, Boyertown is another team whose season is over, and they won their last game, which was the crossover game here at Grigg Memorial Field in Pottstown. And sadly to say, George Parkinson resigned after that ball game. George is certainly a guy that you and I both know and both like. He had a little up and down 3-year reign at Boyertown. I don't know if they could ever get on track with what he was trying to accomplish there, but he has decided to step down. But Boyertown, again, another team, 3-7 overall, only 1-4 in their interleague play in the Liberty Division, and they were certainly a head scratcher.
Well, they certainly were. And before I get into that, someone did tell me, I hope it's not true, but that George is fairly sick right now. He's not feeling well at all, and that's one of the reasons he resigned. I don't know how true that is. I hope it isn't true, but that's one of the rumors I've heard. Now, here again, what has got to happen at Boyertown, no matter who the coach is? The coach coming in there got to create some interest. And where does that interest start? It's got to start down in the 2 middle schools, in East and West. Get some interest in the pro. They got enough kids sitting over there. But you know what else I was thinking on the way here tonight? A lot of the smaller schools especially, numbers may be down a little bit. But there are so many sports now in high school level. I was reading the Reading Eagle. They got water polo boys, water polo girls, lacrosse, volleyball, and I'm not saying they shouldn't have them. But that hurts numbers, especially when you're a smaller school. So somebody got to come in there and create some interest, get people in the weight room. Now, he didn't have access to a weight room the last year or so with all the building going on over there. And I'll say it again. I think they got to get a full-time teacher coach there.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I know the Boyertown people are up in arms about this. And, you know, it seems to me, and I don't know this to be true, but it seems that Boyertown has had more head coaches and more head coach changes in the last 10, 15 years than anyone else, which creates that instability. And with that instability, the kids don't have a lot to grow on. As you mentioned, you got to get to the junior high school level.
Yep.
I mean, I always thought that was a big plus for Boyertown with 2 junior highs. Even Pottstown, when we had 2 junior high schools, Northern and Central, all feed in. That's when we were in our heyday. And when that stopped, things started to decline. And I'm hoping that Boyertown's able to rectify this problem. Nick Palladino, the AD, is a good guy over there. He works hard. I'm hoping he's able to have some pull with the board members, the superintendents, principals, to try to get Boyertown football back where it should be. But, they had some decent players. Marcus Thomas had a decent year.
Cap.
Hunter Vogels was a guy that you really like.
Yep.
Cap is a guy who, unfortunately, they couldn't really find the spot, whether he was the quarterback or wide receiver. And then they had that Aiden Matthias, who is a young sophomore. They didn't know what to do with him as well. So, I think they got to get some of those things ironed out.
I hope they turn the ball over to Nick Palladino, young Nick, and see what he can do with it. I think he knows what they need. So let him take the ball and run with it and find somebody that's going to fit what they need. But you know what, Dave? It's very, very difficult, I think. When we coach, we all got criticized, without a doubt. But I think the parents today are tougher than they've ever been, and the coaches don't talk about it. But I sit in the stands at these games, and man, Coach Pennypacker will tell you when you come in, what wins games? Certainly you got to coach the kids, but players win games.
Absolutely. They certainly
Coaches
do.
lose them.
Well, again, we wish Boyertown all the best, and we certainly do wish our best for George Parkinson, and I'm not sure what that situation is, but we wish him nothing but the best. He was always a good guy and a straight-up guy.
Class act.
Always very, very good with us here. And then the last score, let's talk about Methacton. They ended up on a down note. They lost in the non-league game to Upper Darby 42-22. And again, I don't know what all that meant, whether the kids were into it or not. But, they had 7 turnovers. They were losing 35-8 at halftime. And whether Upper Darby's a good team or not, I don't know. Maybe the Methacton kids were like going through the motions. You don't know, because they did have a big win in their crossover game. But they finished up with a decent record. They were 2-3 interdivisional play in the Liberty Division, and 3-8 overall.
Well, I think I am correct here. I think they were 0-6 starting out the season. So you talk about resiliency and hanging in there. Paul is tremendous at doing that, and then he comes up and wins 4 or 5 games late in the season. That means that he's doing a good job of coaching, keeping the kids together, keeping them motivated, things like that. If I would be critical of that program, I would think you've got to get more kids.
Yeah.
I mean, football is a numbers game. It's a numbers game. Now, some of those kids are better than others, but you still have to have numbers in order to run an organized practice. You can't do it when you got 22 kids.
Well, especially when you're going up against the Springfords and the Perk Valleys and those schools that have the numbers, that they have the depth to be able to have that competition. And I always said, I think the last few years with Springford and Perk Valley getting better. A, they have better kids, but B, they also have better competition. You know, it's not like these kids can walk into the practice and say, I know I'm going to be a starter. I don't have anybody behind me pushing me. Now they have that. They have that competition for those positions. That's really helped them. And unfortunately, Paul Dupree hasn't had that in Methacton. But, you know, we had the Ryan O'Toole on here a couple of weeks ago as our player of the week. And he had a heck of a year. He did a great job for them. He caught 30 passes for nearly 400 yards and 7 touchdowns. And then he was also their leading rusher with 650 yards and 5 TDs. He was the 7th leader rushing in the Pioneer Athletic Conference.
Well, it goes back to what I just was talking about. O'Toole, he's a fine football player. They don't have enough of him. They don't have enough of him.
And again, a guy like Dylan Henry, who had been a starter from his freshman year, we give those kids all the credit in the world. As we've said before, they hung in there. It's so easy to quit when the times are tough. But man, when you know, it's easy when everything is going well to be there. And you talked about showing up for practice on a Tuesday after you lost 20 games in a row. Congratulations and kudos to these Methacton kids, Pope John Paul kids as well, for that kind of situation. All right, Jim, let's look at these upcoming games that we have here. Let's talk about Pottsgrove first. They're in the 4A. They are traveling down to Interboro. They're going to take on the Bucks, who are certainly a tough team. They are coming at 10-1. Steve Lennox just won his 300th game over Pope John Paul. They're excited. They're going to be tough, particularly on their home field. Let's break that game down a little bit.
Well, Coach Lennox won his 300 win, and he's only been there 23 or 24 years.
Yeah.
Good heavens. Well, they got some good skilled kids. They got the Thomas kid at tailback, who had 138 yards and 3 TDs. He has 23 touchdowns for the year, and with one more, he becomes the all-time leading rusher, touchdown-wise, for Interboro. And Interboro, like Pottsgrove, has a good history. They've been winners down there for a long time. I haven't seen them on film, but knowing them a little bit from the past, I think you're going to see two teams that are fairly similar, banging heads against each other. You're going to see that solid run game from both teams, and both teams are good defensively also.
Yeah, and they've played before. Interboro and Pottsgrove have met, so there's some familiarity there. And again, the difference there is, I think the last time I remember it was at Pottsgrove, but now they're traveling and playing on the road as the number 2 seed. So that'll change things a little bit, but I'm sure Coach Penny Packer and his gang will be ready for that one. You mentioned the fact that they have the Chris Thomas, who is certainly a solid kid. They play good, tough, physical defense. Nate Murtha is a quarterback who can throw it as well. He's a guy that you have to make sure you account for.
Well, you got Rasul Faison, and then you got Chris Thomas. I'm going to say this.
I'm taking Faison.
Okay, well, I'm not betting against, but I'm saying to you, whoever has the best legs and the most energy going into the fourth quarter is going to be the likely winner of that game, because I see it coming down to the fourth quarter. And a lot of times with your tailback running 20, 30, 35 times a game, it depends on the beating he's taken, how strong he is going into the fourth quarter. Is he still the same runner in the fourth quarter that he was in the first quarter? I think it's going to come down to something like that.
Well, every good tailback that I ever knew and played against or played with got stronger as the game went on. The more carries they had, the better they got. And I think that's what we're going to be able to see. And again, that offensive line, I know Rick Pennypacker takes a lot of pride in coaching those kids up. And Cassidy, the center, is the leader of that offensive group. You got Hurt Ramsey, you got a bunch of guys in there, Tyler Smith, some guys that can play. It's going to be an interesting game, and I'm sure the Grove is looking forward to that one. All right, now we have 2 in the 6A, Jim. Let's go Springford. Springford obviously has a tough game. They're going to play the number 1 seed and one of the top teams in the state at their home field with North Penn. North Penn coming off a very impressive win. They take on Springford. As we mentioned, though, Springford is definitely playing their best football of the season right now.
Well, they better continue to play their best football, because they got a big chore and a big challenge against North Penn. And I've had the opportunity to watch a lot of North Penn on the huddle, and they are a two-dimensional team. They'll come out in double tights with a big offensive line and some big backs and just run the ball right at you. Off tackle, there's no trickery, anything like that. Off tackle, maybe 1 or 2 play actions off the off tackle play, a little guard trap, but then they come out in a spread set. And the receivers are good size, good speed. The quarterback, number 7, I don't know his name, but he's a talent. He's about a 6'3" kid, and if you don't flush him, he's going to throw it deep. And if you do, you better contain him because he can run with the football. So they got a big job ahead of him. But from talking to the coaches at Springford, they're looking forward to it.
Like I said, they've outscored their last 4 opponents 204-14, so they are playing well on both sides of the ball. Dan Cassidy seems to be the leader of that defensive gang. He had another pick 6 against CB East on Friday night. We'll see what TJ Pergine and those guys can come up with. Stone Scarcelli might be a key player in this game against North Penn. And then finally, we have PV hosting another game, and that will be the PCTV Network Sports Game of the Week. PV is hosting Downingtown East down there at Keenan Field. And Downingtown East, certainly a traditional team that is usually very, very good. They come in off a solid win against Souderton, and they're going to take on our number 1 team, still 11-0, the PV Vikings.
Well, Downingtown East earlier in the season played North Penn head-to-head for 3.5 quarters, and then North Penn won the football game. But it was a very, very good football team. Downingtown East also has good size. They got good talent. Actually, in the beginning part of the North Penn game, I thought the Downingtown East defensive line was getting across the line of scrimmage, beating the blocks and getting into the backfield, penetrating, make tackles behind the line of scrimmage, and did a good job early. But North Penn wore them down. But they're going to be a formidable foe for PV on Friday night.
Absolutely, and again, we mentioned it earlier, PV is 15-2 in the last 3 years on their home field. One of those losses came in the second round of the playoffs last year, so they certainly do have a little bit of a home cooking advantage there, if you will, playing at home, so that should be a good one. Downingtown East, though, always very, very good.
Well, they better put the tarp on the field down in Perk Valley so it doesn't get muddy, because if it gets muddy down there, I think Downingtown East may have a nice advantage.
Yeah.
PV needs a dry field.
They certainly do. And look for Steven Sturm and his gang to continue with that. All right, Coach, well, that's going to do it for this week. You and I will be back here again next Monday to break down all the playoffs and hopefully previewing some more games down the line. But we're going to get set for our Player of the Week and a Coach of the Week, as we always have a good time with those guys. It's great to see these guys without their helmets and shoulder pads on and meet them up close and personal. So we're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, we'll talk to our Player of the Week and his coach right here on the Vlahos Dunn Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback Show.
Tee it up at Linfield National Golf Club. It's a shot worth taking. PGA professional Robert Kleckner heads his family-owned course that covers over 6,300 yards of versatile playing ground. Located near the Linfield exit of Route 422, Linfield National drives competitive play at competitive rates. Stop for a cool one at Mulligan's. Then swing an ego stroke on the simulator course. Take the video tour.
The newly remodeled and renovated Creekside Sports Bar and Grill sits on the Landis Creek Golf Course. Featuring live entertainment and weekly specials, the Creekside offers something for everyone. Discounted beer and wing prices during all Eagles games brings a being at the game feeling. With tailgating, big screen TVs, and wearing your team colors, you can bring the fall spirit to Creekside. So stop by the Creekside Sports Bar and Grill and see all the fun things it has to offer.
Fred Beans Ford of Boyertown is located on Route 100, just 2 miles north of Boyertown. Fred Beans Ford provides automotive sales, service, parts, and body shop all in one place. They're open 6 days a week. Fred Beans Ford in Boyertown can be reached at 800-222-0243. 800-222-0243 or online at fredbeans.com.
Doc Watson's is one of the hottest new sports bars around. Located next to Zern's Market in Boyertown, Doc's offers something for everyone. From live entertainment to countless draft beers, from great burgers to the new outside patio, from the numerous TVs to the friendly Doc service. Doc Watson's is the place to be. So stop by Doc's today for a leisurely lunch, a quick cold beer, or a great bite to eat on a nice fall night. Doc Watson's.
Welcome to the office of John H. Greismeyer Jr., where we believe in the value of relationships. We take pride in giving you the assistance you need, where that involves income tax, payroll, or financial statement preparation. Located in Boyertown, we're committed to meeting the needs of the people in our community, and our team of skilled financial professionals look forward to working with you. John H. Greismeyer Jr. Call us or visit our website now.
At Vlahos Dunn Insurance, we understand what moves people in business and in life, and we use this knowledge to better serve our clients. And we bring the same work ethic and commitment to our business as our customers do theirs. Vlahos Dunn Insurance, providing quality coverage to the Tri-County area since 1994. So call our knowledgeable staff.
Hi, I'm Jim Vlahos of Vlahos Dunn Insurance, and we're in your community.
We're back here on set at the Pottstown Studios. Again, PCTV Network Sports, Dave Ridenhour, the Vlahos Dunn Insurance Monday morning quarterback show. And this week, our player of the week from Pottsgrove with a big win over Upper Perk is that guy we talked about a little earlier with 360 yards and 4 touchdowns, Rashul Faison, and his coach, Rick Pennypacker, in his 28th year from Pottsgrove. But again, guys, first of all, congratulations on a big win. Thanks for stopping by, and it's good to see you again. Rick always is, and Rashul, congratulations on a heck of a game.
Thank you.
It was funny. I saw one of your quotes that you said you never had a game like that before, and I'm sure you slept pretty well on Friday night.
Yeah.
It was good?
Yeah, it was good.
It's all good, okay. Now, Rick, going into the game, obviously you have a game plan. It's tough. You and I had talked, and, you're sort of a little leery of them because you beat them handily the first time, and, sometimes the kids maybe overlook things, and I know you're a stickler for details. What was your mindset going into this game on Friday night?
Well, we were very nervous about it because, I know Upper Perk has a lot of pride, and, I know Tommy and his staff up there did an outstanding job getting those kids motivated. How can you not be motivated after someone put 60-some points on you? And they get another chance at us. So I knew going in it was going to not be an easy game for us. And I don't think my kids knew that until maybe they got on the field. Kids are kids. But, I take a lot of I give Tommy Hans and his staff a lot of credit. Those kids, they got some great athletes over there. The Hallman kid, I can't wait for that kid to graduate. I'm tired of trying to defend that kid because he does it all. He punts, he kicks, he can run.
Safety,
it's safety. Drug this kid down on a couple big tackles and everything. I give them a lot of credit. And
I say the same thing when we did their game against the Pope John Paul. I mean, they really handled Pope John Paul over there at Upper Perk. And like I said, that Tudlow kid and Wary and Kendra and Kaiser and Holman and they really had a lot of good talent. And I was a little surprised that the record wasn't a little bit better, but they certainly had enough guys to scare you.
Right. And we knew going in that they're that those guys are going to get theirs. We just wanted to make sure we kept their running game to a minimum. I thought Adam Girafalco did a tremendous job.
Yeah, did you man up with him?
He manned up on Kendra. I thought he did a tremendous job. And then, gave the ball to Russell and let him do his thing. And he made I think it was the coming out party for this kid. He's had some great games, but this game here is where he got into the secondary, the second level, and made his cut. And when he does that, he puts that foot in the ground. He's dangerous.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about this week leading up to this big game. You had a tough one. You're coming off the canvas, if you will. You had to play Perk Valley in that crossover championship game, and it didn't start off so good for you. The opening kickoff, there was a fumble. So you had to regroup from that and regroup. How was your practice week like leading up to the Upper Perk game?
It was more of just focusing on worrying about them and getting our heads off of Perk Valley. And Coach Pennypacker kept saying that this game's not going to be how the first game was, so we had to just keep our heads up and go out there and practice just how we practiced versus Perk Valley to come out stronger.
Now, was it tough to forget about the Perk Valley game for you? I mean, we've all been in big games, and you win some, you lose some. Was it tough to get over that one a little bit for you?
Yeah, it was kind of tough, but I'm a type of person that always look forward to the next game, so I wasn't really thinking about it too much after the next day.
Okay, well, you're not a big rah-rah guy. You're more of a quiet guy, leader by example. Was there some things that you had to do during the week, maybe to help the other guys pick it up a little bit to get ready to rebound against Perk Valley, or excuse me, Upper Perk?
Not really. I think they was more prepared and ready to focus on districts, so I think they knew what we had to do.
Okay. And Rick, obviously you guys pride yourself on working hard during the week, and I know you said you didn't have a great week of practice, and I know that sometimes that's a funny thing. Sometimes you have a great week and don't play so well, and vice versa. So sometimes you can't judge that.
Yeah, I know. We were not very. I didn't think we were very focused last week. Russell says we were, and I think to a point we were. But I've told our kids today. They watched tons of film for Perk Valley. Tons and tons of film. For Upper Perk, that film hours went down. And I knew that we were not as energized as to play Upper Perk. And so I know that coming off the PV game, our kids played a tremendous game there. I was so proud of our kids playing them. We played a lot of rock soccer football, our brand of football. And we wanted to get back to that against Upper Perk, and we got back to that in the second half. And now we hopefully, when we get down to Edinburgh, we have the same type of attitude.
Well, I'll actually say this, and I happened to be at both games, and I didn't feel the same electricity in the stands or anything for the Upper Perk game. They didn't bring very many fans, and it didn't look like your normal fans either, because you always have a good crowd there and a lot of your student body. So it was, I don't know if they all say, well, Pottsgrove killed them the first time, or, it's not going to be a good game or not, but I felt the same lack of electricity, if you will, in that stadium.
I agree with you 1,000%. And it's kind of hard, and I don't know, Coach Mick could probably tell you, and I think any other high school coach could tell you, it's hard to get your kids up 2 weeks in a row. Our kids were sky high for Perk Valley. I mean, they were sky high. They focused, they were practiced, they watched film, they did everything we asked them to do. And then to lose that game, I thought, it really was a downer for us all week. And then we had to try to get them back up for Upper Perk. That's hard to do. It was very, very hard for us to do.
Well, it took a couple of your runs to sort of get everybody energized, and I really enjoy watching you run. I played with a lot of good running backs here at Pottstown. I coached some and coached against some, but the patience that you have, your running style is, I know a lot of kids, when they want to get the ball, they just want to start running as fast as they can. But I watch you, and you really do a good job of setting up your blockers and are able to find the creases. Is that something that you're thinking about while you're out there, or is it just coming natural to you? How does that happen?
Yeah, I think it just comes more natural. I'm just weighing my blocks set up, and then I just hit the hole right when it sees it develop.
Yeah, because you are the most patient runner I've seen in a long, long time, and like I said, I'm sure your fullback, who does a nice job clearing the way for you. Finn does his thing, and then of course your linemen, they appreciate it, because sometimes you wait to see where that head is, and then you're able to break off that way and go the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you are, my man. I tell you are. and I played secondary too, so I had my chances against the kids that we played against within Chestnut League. Rick and the Flamers and all the kids from Coachville, some really, really talented players.
He's a different running back than what we've had. We've had the Steinmetz kid, and we've had the Carter kid, and
Thaxton, all those guys.
And Palomalo, Allen, But Rasul is a different runner. We sometimes he wants to make the 90-yard run every play. We're trying to tell him, stick it up in there and take the 3-yard gain and everything. And now I think he's done that. But I love the way his patience is. I don't know if that's natural or I was glad you asked that question because he waits for a certain time, and then it's like he can just turn it on at a dime.
Well, I noticed it against Pottstown. You know, that
Right.
was the first time I really got a chance to see an extended period of time, and I was just amazed at how smooth everything was for you. And I wanted to see if you were even sweating at the end of the game, because you looked so patient and cool out there that everything seemed to come out pretty naturally. And even the one play where you guys went trips and you ran down the slot there, you went down the seam and caught that touchdown pass, which was over the wrong shoulder, and you made a nice adjustment to that. It showed that you like to catch the ball too a little bit, huh?
Yeah, Coach Pennypacker, he always likes to get me out there and show my athleticism.
Yeah, and space a little bit and make some plays. Now, you know, out of the spread formation, is there certain plays that you like to run a little bit more than others, or do you have some favorite things that work pretty well for you?
You're talking about like when I'm in this.
Yeah,
like
out of the spread. Yeah.
Not really.
Okay.
It doesn't really matter.
So you're also in the backfield.
He just wants the ball.
He wants the ball.
He just wants the ball. He wants the ball.
Tell us a little bit about that 89-yard run. And again, it was a fourth down call that you gambled on. Wasn't it fourth?
I don't know.
It was. I thought it was 30 and
was
short.
it?
It was
third
fourth.
and one?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to
Oh,
go
I thought it
fourth
was
and one.
fourth and one.
Not on my own 8-yard line.
Go down there, on the 11.
I've done it once.
All right, well,
but
maybe it was
Okay,
third and
yeah,
one. All right, whatever.
Third and
It
one,
was definitely something insured. I thought
Sure,
it was
right,
third
right.
and one. And that play certainly helped to change the whole complexion of that game.
Yes. And I thought he was going to step out of bounds. I really did. I thought he was coming down the sideline, and I'm like, he's out of bounds. And then he kept his balance and stuck his foot in the ground, and then it was off to the races.
Yeah.
What you don't understand, what I don't think people really realize about this kid is he's not only fast, but he's not afraid to put his shoulder down and run over people.
Oh, I know
that run
that. I've seen that,
run against PV he had was maybe one of the best runs I've seen in a long time.
When you gave that young freshman safety from Upper Perk a little stiff arm, which I like to see there, you gave him that little shot and warded him off, and then you're off to the races there. Could you feel someone coming after you? I mean, when you're running like that, the safety sort of had an angle on you were able to get by it. Can you feel him?
Yeah, I felt it. I don't know. I just kept running.
Okay, just kept running.
Yeah.
And I know that when you're afraid to get caught, you run a lot faster than you do when you're not. Huh? But it's great. It is a fun thing to watch you. And Rick, it's been a great thing for the two of you. Right. You know, Rashul is a transfer student into Pottsgrove in his first year. Are you guys starting to get to know each other pretty well now?
Oh yeah, we've learned. He's learned a little bit about me.
And I'm sure you've learned some stuff
I've
about him.
I've learned a lot about him, but. Yeah, he's a great kid. He's fit in well with our kids, our program. I think the future is bright for him. We talked about that coming over here in the car. You know that Rasul has put himself in a situation now where his future is bright. It's going to be up to him how bright his future is. You know, he's working hard in school. He doesn't miss school. I think the future is very, very bright for him. He's only a junior. We have him back another year. He's going to put some weight on, he says.
That's what he said, get him in that weight room because they like to lift. Do you play hoops or anything too, or sure?
I did. I don't think I'm playing no more.
Okay.
Focus on football.
Because I talked to Gary Lorenzo, and he said everything he said was very quality things about you as well. And I respect these two guys, Gary and Coach Pennypacker. So that's a good thing, and I certainly know a lot of your family, and they were always good people, and I'm sure you're right in there. How are you adjusting to Pottsgrove? Do you like it there now? I mean, are you used to all the things you have to do?
Yeah, I like it a lot. I kind of knew a lot of kids coming over.
Okay.
From playing with them from Little League because I played for Pottstown Pal.
Okay.
So it was like not really like a transfer. I kind of knew everything about it.
Okay. Well, the one thing I want to say is, are we going to get the punting situation, the punt return situation straightened out there, Coach?
Oh, my God. And the funny thing about it is,
I'm looking at that and say, where's your special teams coach? And he's running down the other end of the field for some water because you go to dual setbacks and
my special team coach, he will tell you, they catch punts every day after practice. Every day after practice, he has them out there. And but those two guys back there, whatever little bit of hair I have, they're taking it off right
Well,
now.
tell him you want to be a single set receiver. Put him 15 yards in front of you. And
that's
let
what
him
we're-
block
that's
the
what we're
first
thinking
guy.
about doing.
And
We're
first
thinking about
guy
doing
comes
that.
down and let him get the ball and go with it, because I said,
Because they
that's
look
the
at each
only-
other,
yeah,
right?
They
They
did.
look at
I
each
saw
other.
them both. They were both
And-
like looking at him. Next thing you know, the ball bounces and goes to the 5-yard
And
line.
you know, most guys fight over that ball.
Yeah, I
You
know.
know?
Yeah.
These guys are like, do you want it? Do I want it?
Yeah, it was a pretty good. But, you know, you guys made some pretty nice adjustments at halftime, Rick, and you know, your offensive line, I said it many times, that you certainly do take a lot of pride in there, led by your center, Cassidy, and Hurt Ramsey, and all the other guys you have up there in that front line. But they seem to come off and get better angles and
Yeah.
do some things in the second half.
We went to our lead play a little bit more. We were running power and pulled the backside guard. Then in the second half, we went to the lead play, which allowed Rasul to get to the second level and cut. He cut back a lot. I don't know if you noticed, a lot of his runs were cut back and everything. And you know, we were combo blocking the backside to keep that backside linebacker from getting in there. And I thought Rasul, our offensive line did a great job. I can't say enough good things about those kids. You know, Rasul will tell you they work hard every day. They got to go through practice with me every day. You know, the other coaches are somewhat laid back a little bit, you know, but our offensive line, we're not laid back one bit. And, you know, so I give them a lot of credit. You know, Dylan Rolando, Paris Janusek, Cassidy, Hurt Ramsey, Malachi, Ephraim, Justin Adams, his fullback, you know, Javon Colbert. They just do a tremendous job to make this kid look good.
And you know what, defensively, I didn't realize it until after the game. You know, you held them to 60 yards rushing. Yeah. And I mean, and I'll tell you what, Ware and Tutulo are nice
They're very
kids.
tough kids.
You know, and,
very tough.
And you guys did a nice job. I see young Bedolis is getting some extended time at DN for you now. Tell us about his little maturation.
He's a great kid. You know, he came in. He's a skinny kid, but he's got that Bedolis mentality. You know, he's got that fighter instinct. I love the kid. I think he has a great future ahead of him. He's going to put some weight on, and you know, I just think that whole defensive line. And the nice thing about it is, you know, we're young.
Well, 52 and 62, I think have really. I mean, Hurt Ramsey and Dickey have really done a good job of neutralizing that middle. And we talk about the Demetrios and all those nose guards you've had in your good teams.
They're doing a tremendous job.
They are doing a good job with.
Yeah, we're very happy with where we are right now. We know going into this weekend, it's going to be a tough game for us. Interboro is. You know, Steve and I have gone at each other I don't know how many times, and we have had some battles. And this is going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be. I told our boys they better wear their big boy pants this week because this is what they have to have.
What are you going to do this week to get yourself ready? Same thing as usual, or how do you approach this? This is a big game, the district final.
I'm going to probably approach it the same way as I usually do. Just watch a lot of film, get my teammates ready, and go out there.
Now, what do you do when you watch film? What kind of things do you look at? Do you look at defenses? Do you look at where they're lined up? What do you look at as a running back when you're watching film?
I watch how they blitz and like how they're lined up most of the time, so like I can see what I'm going at majority of the plays.
Okay. Well, 360 yards and 4 touchdowns was a heck of an effort. And Rick, I know you'll be ready to have your guys prepared.
We'll be ready.
You'll be ready, and
we're excited.
What's the weather supposed to be like Friday? A decent night?
I think it's supposed to be no rain in the forecast, and you know, we want to wish Perk Valley and Springford good luck too. You know, I know Chad and Rob down there; they're doing a great job.
Yeah,
and
they are doing a good job too. Yeah.
I know that I heard a stat the other day, and I know Coach Mick was talking about some stats up here. I heard the other day that North Penn is like 26-0. On Crawford Field in district playoff.
Really?
So I hope Chad can go in there.
I
hope they can go. I really am pulling for Springfield.
Well, Rasul, I want to congratulate you again, and certainly I enjoy watching you play, and that comes from a former Pottstown player and a former Pottstown coach, an old Chestnut Leaguer, an old school guy. You certainly are a good player, and you know, you're a special kid, and next year, better things, get in that weight room, get that upper body built up, and who knows what's happening. And Rick, I'm sure you'll take care of things as you always do, and I appreciate the way you are with us here on the show and when we're doing games and stuff. But I wanted to make sure that you have something to remember us by. Here's our certificate, courtesy of my buddy Phil Lang at the Digital Print Works, and also our little mini Heisman that you can proudly display to the rest of the Faison clan and say, hey, look what I got here. This is from Dave Ridenauer, and that's Charlie Pierce at the Trophy and Plaque Shack. He takes good care of us here as well. But certainly a great honor for Rashul Faison. Again, 360 yards and 4 touchdowns in that first round of the district play. Rick, thanks again for stopping by. Congratulations and good luck. How's grades good? Everything's good? We make sure we stay on top of that stuff?
Yes, sir.
All right, and stay away from the ladies because they're nothing but bad news, too. You got to make sure you take care of that business, too. All right, football season. That's all you think about, studies and football. All right, you got these good-looking guys in here. We got to make sure that they take care of business. But again, Rashul Faison from Pottsgrove is our player of the week, and, of course, his coach, Rick Pennypacker. We're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, the dynamic duo is going to try to break down that Eagles fiasco yesterday right after these words from our sponsors.
At long last,
Date night has arrived.
and you want to make it something special.
Something romantic
You've heard a lot of great things about Panavino,
in the new downtown district
fine Italian dining,
with a cosmopolitan flair.
drinks before dinner at the bar.
Why not?
Then it's just us.
Savoring the creations of Chef David Brennan.
What's this?
Dinner and a movie for 2?
Only $50?
Panavino Italian Restaurant
Truly is the beginning of the perfect evening.
in the new downtown Reading.
Doc Watson's is one of the hottest new sports bars around. Located next to Zern's Market in Boyertown, Doc's offers something for everyone. From live entertainment to countless draft beers, from great burgers to the new outside patio, from the numerous TVs to the friendly Doc service. Doc Watson's is the place to be. So stop by Doc's today for a leisurely lunch, a quick cold beer, or a great bite to eat on a nice fall night. Doc Watson's.
Established in 1916 and granted membership into the Philadelphia Golf Association in 1920, Brookside Country Club is well known for its challenging layout and true, fast greens. The William Gordon design provides a challenge for golfers of all abilities. Brookside Country Club offers traditional club amenities in a family-friendly atmosphere. Brookside Country Club, where elegance and excellence are par for the course.
Tee it up at Linfield National Golf Club. It's a shot worth taking. PGA professional Robert Kleckner heads his family-owned course that covers over 6,300 yards of versatile playing ground. Located near the Linfield exit of Route 422, Linfield National drives competitive play at competitive rates. Stop for a cool one at Mulligan's, then swing an ego stroke on the simulator course. Take the video tour.
Hey, we're back, the dynamic duo here. Brought to you by Fred Beans of Boyertown. Make sure you stop over there. Tell Denny Malloy we sent you. Good man. He'll take good care of you over at Fred Beans of Boyertown. But Joseph, I tell you what, I'm not sure where we even start with this one. Excuse me, I've been as upset the last 2 weeks as I've ever been watching a team that I didn't play for or coach. I'm finding myself yelling at the TV screen. I'm yelling about Doug Peterson's calls, whether they should kick a field goal or not. You know, there's a litany of things that are going on, buddy.
Yeah, yesterday, my wife actually was in the computer room. I was watching a game, and she actually said, "Who are you yelling at?" And I literally, like, I couldn't believe a couple of the calls.
I couldn't either.
Especially, of course, the fourth down calls in the second quarter.
Yeah.
You know, I get it maybe late in the third quarter or early fourth quarter, but I was stunned, actually.
Yeah, I mean, that early in the game, and I truly believe he panicked. I really think Doug Peterson panicked. You know, went through that early interception. It was almost a pick six, and then they scored a couple of quick touchdowns. You know, the secondary was running into people like, oh my gosh, it was a Chinese fire drill back there in the secondary for a while with Beckham and Shepard and Lewis and a bunch of guys you never even heard of. And then next thing you know is he's panicking rather than kicking the field goals and trying to stay in the ball game, because they really were in the game, even though it was 14-3. I didn't feel like they were going to get beat 56-10. I mean, I felt that they could play it with them, play in the game with them, because I didn't think that their offense, the Giants' offense, could run the ball extended periods of time, and they would find a way to get back in it.
Yeah, at the one point in the third quarter it was 21-17, and you're looking at the game and the way everything is going, and you're like, I can't believe they're only down by 4 points.
Yeah, how about it? Yeah.
And like you said, they're still in the game, but I don't know if we're just really getting ahead of ourselves with.
Well, we are.
With Carson,
There's no doubt about it.
Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
You know, 3-0 start, bye week. Everybody's talking like playoffs, and you know he's the next coming. And then also with Peterson, you know, Peterson is a rookie coach. He's going to make mistakes, and I think he's trying to find his way, and he's making some bad decisions.
Well, I think everybody keeps reverting back to the Steelers game, which is what I did. When I watched them play that game, I just could not get over it. Everything clicked offensively. Defensively, they were flying around. When you hold Ben Roethlisberger and those guys to 3 points, that's a day. That is a day. Now, I didn't think that they were going to do that. They weren't going to go 15-1, you know, but I thought they could win 9, maybe 10 games after that, because Wentz seemed to have a grasp of everything. He didn't get flustered, and I was really, truly impressed with Doug Peterson, the way he called the game. I thought he utilized guys. Ryan Matthews was somebody who could contribute, you know. I mean, they still had guys dropping balls.
Right.
But
ever since Ryan Matthews' fumble, it's been the backfield's been a mess. You know, on that 4th down, 4th and 2 or 4th and 1, whatever, and they give the ball to Sproles. Where's Ryan Matthews at that point? And you know, go ahead.
No, well, I'm just going to say
I interrupted you.
No. I know it. It's okay. But I'm saying, no, the first one on 4th and 2, if your best option is a quarterback sweep around the left end, you know what? You better reevaluate your short yardage situation, because Carson Wentz is a good runner, but he's not a Cam Newton. He's not Dak Prescott. He's a guy who can scramble and extend the plays and all those things, and then maybe skirt up there for some yards. But he's not your best running option on a 4th and 2 in the red zone and run a sweep there. There were 5 Giants waiting right there to crush him.
No, I agree. And here's what I think's happening. I think they're expanding the playbook for him. They dumbed it down at the beginning of the season. They gave him a handful of plays. He ran them well, and he was precise. Now all of a sudden they're starting to open it up for him a little bit, and they're actually giving him more. And he's got to make more reads. He's got to make more progressions. And I think what's happening is he's not fundamentally with his feet. The ball's sound on him a little bit. He's getting a little bit more of a pass rush because now there's a book on him. Now the other teams have a book and they're watching films and his tendencies. The thing that is concerning for me is that when you're putting 9 guys up in the box 9 guys up in a box.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to run or throw a fade? Where's the slants? Where's the quick
Well,
slants?
they don't have anybody that can run those plays. See, that's what it's-
No, and I agree.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
agree. But did you see on the touchdown pass to Odell Beckham?
Yeah.
Literally,
Yeah.
Eli Manning went and gave him a thumbs up.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
here we go.
Yep.
And that's the play call at the line?
And Brother Leotis just couldn't answer the bell. But you know what? Number one, and I think you made good points there, Joe. But number one, why do they have to expand the playbook so much if they're having so much success where they are?
If it's not broke,
yeah,
don't fix it.
correct, Mundo.
Yep.
And then I'm also saying Steve Spagnuolo outcoached them so badly yesterday because you know what? All they do is bring everybody, because no wide receiver can get separation. They don't fear anybody secondary, so they can just man up on everybody and then just come at Wentz, and then all of a sudden he's the deer in headlights.
And it wasn't McAdoo, it was Spagnuolo.
Correct.
It was definitely McAdoo
No
was
doubt.
a non-issue.
Right.
It was Spagnuolo.
Right.
And the offense, they had 54 yards
Yeah,
rushing.
rushing.
You
Yeah,
have
yeah.
Perkins and you have
Yep.
Rashard Jennings
Yep.
who gets like 2.3
Yep.
yards
Yep.
a carry.
Yep.
And then Cruz got hurt. Justin Pugh got hurt, and I'm thinking, okay, we're okay.
Yeah.
But you know what? They could not cover. How can Shepard get so wide open?
I don't
It's
know. I
goofy.
don't know.
It's goofy.
I'm
They're
they
still
said,
running
what
into
they
each
are, that's
other.
what I'm saying.
From the
Like,
Dallas
yeah, I
game,
know.
They're still
I know.
running into each other.
I know. I'm laughing myself because I'm thinking, how in the world can this be? And yet, I don't understand it. I'm really at a loss for some of these things that keep happening. I know the Josh Huff thing was a distraction, but that shouldn't affect them on Sundays. I still go back to 2 things, though, Joe.
Go.
Lane Johnson and Benny Logan. Benny Logan has really hurt not being there. He's got to come back. And Lane Johnson has really, I'll tell you what, Wisniewski has played good at that left guard position. But if they had Wisniewski at center, another bigger, tougher guy at center, and their guy,
You've been talking about Kelsey for weeks. And yesterday I was actually focusing on Kelsey, and I'm watching him getting lifted up and move 2 or 3 yards backwards.
Yeah.
And I'm going, Dave's got a good point here.
Yeah.
Now, I'm more towards the Lane Johnson issue than I am the Benny Logan. Because Bo Allen's come in.
Yeah, but he can't do it. Yeah, but he can't do it for 4
He's played pretty
quarters.
decent. It's the secondary. We know it's the secondary. McKelvin's not. He shouldn't even be in there. They're going to wind up putting Mills in.
What are they waiting for?
Well, I'm not sure. But but then you go look at the wide receivers, and you're looking. They got rid of Huff. They bring in Bryce Treggs, who I didn't even know.
I didn't know.
They were talking about Turner. Everybody was talking about Turner.
Yeah.
But you have Matthews as a 2nd-round pick. You have Aguilar as a 1st-round pick, right? They got him in the 1st round. You got
Beckham.
Green, yeah. That was a 2nd-round pick for Tennessee, right? Mm-hmm. And none of them are doing it now. Ertz actually stood up yesterday. He had 8. He was 8 targets and 8
but he has
receptions.
no yards after catch. No yards after catch.
They had some yards after catch yesterday. But Greg Lewis is the wide receivers coach. I'm starting to look at him a little bit and say, what is going on at these practices? How can Green Beckham not come off the line
5
and make
targets,
separation? No catches.
Yeah.
No separation. At the top of his routes, he's not making any separation either. You look at all the good receivers, they're using their hands. They're pushing off. You saw Odell Beckham slap the hands and come up on the fade route. On the fade route that got him a touchdown.
And Green Beckham is 6'5".
He's 6'5". He plays
he can
like
jump.
he's 5'9". Yeah.
And he would have been a 1st-round pick had he not had some off-the-field issues.
Right.
He was a 1st-round talent.
Yeah.
Well, look, Joe, we got to catch our breath and do a little business. We come back, we'll continue our conversation about what's going on in Eagle Land. He's Joe C. I'm Dave Ridenour. We are the dynamic duo right here on the Vallejo Dunn Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback Show.
At Vlahos Dunn Insurance, we understand what moves people in business and in life, and we use this knowledge to better serve our clients. And we bring the same work ethic and commitment to our business as our customers do theirs. Vlahos Dunn Insurance, providing quality coverage to the Tri-County area since 1994. So call our knowledgeable staff.
Hi, I'm Jim Vlahos of Vlahos Dunn Insurance, and we're in your community.
At long last,
Date night has arrived.
and you want to make it something special.
Something romantic
You've heard a lot of great things about Panavino.
in the new downtown district
Fine Italian dining.
with a cosmopolitan flair.
Drinks before dinner at the bar?
Why not?
Then it's just us.
Savoring the creations of Chef David Brennan.
What's this?
Dinner and a movie for two?
Only $50?
Panavino Italian Restaurant
Truly is the beginning of the perfect evening.
in the new downtown Reading.
Doc Watson's is one of the hottest new sports bars around. Located next to Zern's Market in Boyertown, Doc's offers something for everyone. From live entertainment to countless draft beers, from great burgers to the new outside patio, from the numerous TVs to the friendly Doc service. Doc Watson's is the place to be. So stop by Doc's today for a leisurely lunch, a quick cold beer, or a great bite to eat on a nice fall night. Doc Watson's. The newly remodeled and renovated Creekside Sports Bar and Grill sits on the Landis Creek Golf Course. Featuring live entertainment and weekly specials, the Creekside offers something for everyone. Discounted beer and wing prices during all Eagles games brings a being at the game feeling. With tailgating, big screen TVs, and wearing your team colors, you can bring the fall spirit to Creekside. So stop by the Creekside Sports Bar and Grill and see all the fun things it has to offer.
Back here on set, Dave Ridenour and my buddy Joe C, the dynamic duo. And, you know, Joe, each week we look at By the Numbers, courtesy of my good buddy John Griesmer. Jack, as I know him, Jackie, I've known him my whole life, and he does a great job. The accounting offices of John H. Griesmer Jr. over there, located right beside Seville's Diner in Boyertown. Look him up if you have any questions, you want somebody to do your tax returns, or just basically information. What do you have for me? I know you're a fantasy guy. What's going on the numbers-wise?
You know, I'm looking at my man Mark Ingram yesterday, who actually I had on my bench because he was in the doghouse last week.
Was.
You know, he had 3 carries for 6 yards because he fumbled. And they were going to give carries to Hightower, so of course I left him on my bench. But, you know, he had a 75-yard touchdown run. He had a TD reception. And he had 15 carries for 158 yards, 10.5 yards per carry. And I would say anytime you play the San Francisco 49ers and you're in the doghouse, you're going to get out of the doghouse.
Well, you know what's funny? He showed, I actually saw the replay of his long run down the sideline.
Showed some speed.
Yeah. I didn't know he possessed that kind of speed because he was always a hulking kind of a guy. Obviously an Alabama running back, a Heisman Trophy winner, and a good high pick, but never really quite adjusted to the pro game that well, I didn't think. Maybe he got a little bit out of shape, I don't know, but he certainly answered the bell against Chip Kelly's gang, didn't he?
He did. He did. I'm a little upset I had him on my bench because if I would have played him, I would have won. So I'm dropping
drop him like a bad habit. Yeah, baby. All right, you know, we also have our game balls that we like to give out in this segment as well, and that's my buddy Paul. I was out to see him again, and he's always been good to me and just a good friend, an old Army vet. And Friday is Veterans Day, which makes me think about all these guys, and Paul certainly served his time in the Army and in Vietnam. Out there at 943 North Hanover Street in Pottstown. Who are you going with, buddy?
Go ahead, you
I'll
go first.
You know what? I'm going to go Melvin Gordon. There's another guy who was sort of in the doghouse. He was a high pick. You know, you don't really know what's going on in San Diego, although Phillip Rivers has needed some help, somebody who can take some pressure off of him, because he certainly has done his share of good things with Antonio Gates and whoever else he seems to find out there wide receiver position. But Melvin Gordon had 196 yards to really take some pressure off of Phillip Rivers as San Diego was able to hold on and beat the Titans. The Titans had been playing much, much better, but San Diego in there now at 4-5 and winning some games. And I'm going to give my game ball to Melvin Gordon.
I like that. That was going to
One of
be
your
my choice.
secondary
Yeah, it
picks?
was my.
Okay.
Yeah, no, actually, that
was
was
your
my,
choice?
My first choice, and I'm going to go with Latavius Murray. They played the Denver Broncos in Oakland, in Oakland, and you got to give a lot of credit to Derek Carr, even though he didn't throw a lot of yardage. We talked about it off air. He managed the game, but Latavius Murray, 3 TDs, 20 carries, 114 yards, and I'm going to give my game ball to him.
Can you imagine Sebastian Janikowski is still kicking?
Let me tell you something.
He's got to be there almost 20 years.
He's missing the last couple games I've watched.
He's missing something?
Because I'm a Derek Carr fan, and you know what? He's missing.
He missed one from 48.
Yeah, he missed a couple the week before.
I did remember that, but he's still. I mean, he's got to be 40 years old. Easy.
He's 30. I think he's 39 years old. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Notre Dame guy.
No.
Florida State.
Florida State. Yeah.
Right.
Florida State.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, he's been playing forever, and
yeah, he's been around a while.
He's been a character too, man. He's had his share of fun times and things, but he's pretty solid yet. But he's getting a little bit long in the tooth. And you know what? I think we got to do one more commercial break. Let's do that real quick, and then we can run out everything that we have to do. I wanted to talk a little bit about Sturgis. I think Caleb Sturgis has really been an asset to the Eagles this year. We'll talk a little bit about him.
Yep.
We'll get our 5-pack picks and all those things. So let's take a quick time out. When we come back, Joe C. and I will finish up the show right here on the Vallejo Sun Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback.
You want to make it something special.
Something romantic.
You've heard a lot of great things about Panavino.
In the new downtown district.
Fine Italian dining.
With a cosmopolitan flair.
Drinks before dinner at the bar?
Why not?
Then it's just us.
Savoring the creations of Chef David Brennan.
What's this?
Dinner and a movie for 2?
Only $50?
Panavino Italian Restaurant
truly is the beginning of the perfect evening.
In the new downtown Reading.
Doc Watson's is one of the hottest new sports bars around. Located next to Zern's Market in Boyertown, Doc's offers something for everyone. From live entertainment to countless draft beers, from great burgers to the new outside patio, from the numerous TVs to the friendly Doc service. Doc Watson's is the place to be. So stop by Doc's today for a leisurely lunch, a quick cold beer, or a great bite to eat on a nice fall night. Doc Watson's. The newly remodeled and renovated Creekside Sports Bar and Grill sits on the Landis Creek Golf Course. Featuring live entertainment and weekly specials, the Creekside offers something for everyone. Discounted beer and wing prices during all Eagles games brings a being at the game feeling. With tailgating, big screen TVs, and wearing your team colors, you can bring the fall spirit to Creekside. So stop by the Creekside Sports Bar and Grill and see all the fun things it has to offer.
Hey, we want to send a special thanks out to my buddy Michael Crater and Chris and all the gang over at Mike's Brick Oven Pizza. Again, look at that. For about the 5th year in a row, they voted the best pizza, the best Stromboli, and again in 2016. Located on Charlotte and East Streets at 601 North Charlotte Street. Give them a holler over there. They do a great job, and they've been taking good care of us here on set. And I want to thank Mike and his staff for all their help as well. You know, we do have to give our little Big Frank's question out if we can, Joe C. And I'm going to let you do that this week. How about you give me a question?
All right, we were talking about field goal
kickers, yeah.
And Sturgis and Blair Walsh is up on. They're looking to bring in because he's missing a lot of field goals as well. And yesterday, I think the longest field goal yesterday was Matt Prater, which was a 58-yarder to tie the game, send that game into overtime. So what I want to ask you is, who holds the record for longest field goal in NFL history?
You know, and that's a good question. I knew Tom Dempsey had it for a lot of years. You know, he had that 63-yarder, straight on guy and whatever. And then I thought a guy from Tampa had it, that Bryant or something maybe. But I got to think about that one for a second. I don't know. I'll check on that.
All right, I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
He played for the Denver Broncos.
Okay.
Okay.
Did he kick it in that mile-high air?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
All right. I'll think about that for a second.
All right. Did you know that your buddy Andy Reid, they're 6-2 this year? You know that in the last 20 games, I heard this today. Last 20 games, they're 17-3.
Really?
Did you realize that?
No, I didn't.
They won 11 in a row at the end of last year.
Did they really?
Lost in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
And they were 17-3 in their last 20 games.
Wow. Kansas
But
City.
I'll tell you, I'm amazed.
Well, right now, that AFC West is pretty solid.
It's looking real good.
Yeah, Oakland, Kansas City, and Denver.
Oakland, yeah, they got Mack, and they have a running game, and they have some solid wide receivers.
Well, they were talking about all the money they put in their offensive line. You know, he said everybody's talking about the Dallas Cowboys, and
Those
rightfully
boys
so.
are big.
But yeah,
Did
they
you
are
see that?
monsters. Monsters out there.
And that's why we were talking. We were talking earlier. You brought up Lane Johnson and Benny Logan. I'm saying Lane Johnson was a bigger loss.
I agree, but I still think he's hurt.
Anyone would like to believe.
Right. Well, we do our 5-pack picks each week as well. And last week I was 2-3.
Can we skip this segment?
No. and you know the sad part was I picked the Giants.
I know you did.
You were 1-4, and I was 2-3.
I don't even know what my record is because it's like I haven't been following it.
I'm
but
25-14-1.
Yeah,
and you were 1-4, and
oh,
I
come
was
on,
2-3.
I don't even know. I'm probably 14-25.
Well, let's go to tonight's game quick. Buffalo at Seattle.
Seattle.
Okay. You know what? And I'm going to. No, I can't. I got to go Seattle. I can't go Ryan. Kansas City, who we're talking about, now travels to Carolina. Carolina's trying to fight their way back into.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Kansas City's got a lot of problems. Macklin was hurt; he has a groin injury.
Kelsey get thrown out of the game for throwing something at the umpire or ref. Come on, dude.
Yeah. I'm going to take Carolina.
All right, I'll go Kansas City just to be different. Here's another interesting game all of a sudden. Minnesota's on the skids. Norv Turner quits in the middle of the season. Difference of opinion, which totally took the head coach by surprise.
Yeah.
They travel to Washington.
There's a lot of stuff going on over there.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot deeper than people think. I'm going to take Washington.
Yeah,
I like Kirk Cousins.
I do too. How about Dallas and Pittsburgh? All of a sudden, that's a pretty good game.
Right now, I can't see Pittsburgh being that bad. But you got to ride with Dallas at this point.
I'm going with
Dallas.
Pittsburgh.
Right.
I got to go with my Steelers. And now all of a sudden, Matty Ice comes flying into Philadelphia.
You know what? I'm going to take Atlanta, and then maybe the Eagles will win.
All right, I'll go the other side.
You're going to go Philadelphia?
I'll go Philly.
There you go.
Because Giants is one of the 2 wins I had last
This
week.
is ridiculous.
I had Oakland and I had the Giants. They were my
Now,
only 2 wins last week.
By all indications, he should light them up. He should light them up between Julio Jones, Mohamed Sanu. You know, if Coleman's back, which I'm not sure, you got Devontae Freeman. It's crazy.
Yeah, they could score 50.
Exactly.
They could score 50.
Exactly.
It's crazy. Oh, my gosh. Well, you know, Joe, it's always so much fun on here. And I do want to have a little shout out to my buddy Butch Cleaver. He's one of my buddies from Boyertown. I run into him over there, and he just, you know, he thinks a lot of you and I and loves watching us. So I want to give my man Butch a shout out. And he's always glad when Joe's there.
I'll tell you what, Dave. Seriously, I miss being up here. I miss the store, and I miss being up here and seeing everybody. So
there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people do ask for you, Joe, all the time, and we certainly appreciate that. All right, well, he's Joe C., and I'm Dave Ridenhour. We're the dynamic duo, and we're going to have to say goodbye again for another week. But we'll be back next Monday again, and hopefully under better circumstances. Maybe the Eagles can pull out a big win against the Atlanta Falcons. Thanks for watching the Vlahos Dunn Insurance Monday Morning Quarterback Show.
of submitting